Let's do that. And as I said that, we went on air. What's up, guys? I'm Matt from Unlimited. This is the Unlimited podcast. Before we get started, want to offer prayers and thoughts to the people of Las Vegas. I know that they're coming off of a pretty big tragedy, so my thoughts go out to them.
Can I tag in on that?
Sure, go ahead. By the way, this is Tyler Harper, if you don't know.
Yeah, hi guys. But chiming in like on the very serious note, obviously we all have our thoughts with Las Vegas, but it also helps too if you can and are able to schedule an appointment, donate blood. Like, I know people don't like Fear Needles and all that. I get it, but if you and are willing, please go donate blood. It'll seriously help the American Red Cross and help all the people who are still injured and needed in the hospital right now. Just a little something that you can do to help out. It's obviously to help save people's lives. It'll be for a great cause.
Right, I completely agree. Go out, donate blood. My prayers go out to them. Hopefully this doesn't happen again, but then again, I keep saying that. And it keeps happening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's pretty much nothing else I could say. But on to more positive note.
Let's set the escape for that now.
Yeah. The MLB season is over, unfortunately. It felt really quick, as it usually does. I think I say that every year.
I don't know. Based on the teams we root for, it felt kind of long.
Yeah, it did. I'm pretty sure for like normal fans, like, you know, the I shouldn't say the normal fans, but the fans of teams like the Cubs, the Indians, you know, it's probably a good year for you, and it went quick, and your fun is pretty much over. I shouldn't even say that because you're in the playoffs and we're not.
Yeah.
But yeah, the MLB season is over, and we look forward to the playoffs. But before we do that, we get to recap all the events and all the fun memories, moments, all the standout performers, all the bad standout performers, good standout performers of this season, by giving you our end-of-year awards. Now, we did a podcast mid-season for our mid-season awards, and now we get to do one for the end of the season. So, which one do you want to start with, my friend?
I don't know. You're the host of this thing. Depends on how you want to build it. I don't care. Just tell me, hey, we're going to do this one now, and I'll follow suit.
I know you were talking about unsung heroes.
Ooh, yeah.
Let's
That's
do
a good
that.
one to start with.
Why not?
All right. So do you want to start AL or NL?
Let's do AL. Why not?
Or I was typing the NL player's name, but okay, I'll type in the other one.
Sorry.
It's okay. All right. Do you want me to go first then?
Sure.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the more things change, the more they stay the same for me, because my AL unsung hero is still, say with me, Moose. Mike Moustakas, because, yeah, the Royals didn't make the playoffs. They were trying to make that push, but 521 slugging percentage, 835 OPS, but 85 RBI, but the big number, 38 regular season home runs. That is a franchise record in a single season for the Kansas City Royals. Will he be a Kansas City Royal next year? Who knows? Because his contract is up, and odds are people are going to want to pay him, especially a team that needs a third baseman who definitely has pop at the plate. But yeah, Mike Moustakas, I mean, he's one of the standout stars on that Kansas City team.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
with everyone else in the American League, and of course, you got guys like Aaron Judge going off, having monstrous years. You have Mike Trout, Jose Altuve, these guys who are consistently fantastic performers. Moose kind of flies under the radar. And, I mean, granted, I had to pay a little more attention to him this year because he was on my fantasy baseball roster. He is a very good presence, especially at the plate. So if he chooses to stay in Kansas City, or if he signs with another team who needs a third baseman next year. The bottom line is, wherever Mike Moustakas plays, that team is going to be very happy they employ him.
Oh, absolutely. And, and it's kind of sad, too, looking at the past couple of days, and we've seen a lot of those curtain calls that the Royals players got.
Mm-hmm.
It is the end of an era in Kansas City because at least 2, maybe even 3, or maybe even all 4 of them might change teams next year.
Possibility.
So it's going to be interesting how Kansas City goes into 2018. It's going to be interesting to see where they go because those are pretty much the bigger names on the free agent list. I mean, I know you got guys like Yu Darvish as a free agent, I believe. I don't think Cueto opted out.
I don't know if he can declare that now or not. He might have to wait to declare that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the point remains the same. Like those names, like him and Eric Hosmer are probably going to be the 2 big bats on the list for a lot of major league teams who have holes at the corner. So if you're Kansas City, you better be thinking of starting to think of some backup plans.
Absolutely, and honestly, now that this era is over or seems to be over, they may be in full-on rebuild mode. They may be starting fresh. It can't hurt at this point because, and you can't even say that this group of guys didn't accomplish anything. They made it to 2 straight World Series and won 1 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So they did it all. And they made good runs in 2016. They made a good run late in 2013. This year they had their ups and downs, but they were still in it for most of the year. So again, it'll be interesting to see, but I like your pick because not a lot of people talked about the Royals this year, and it's a shame because they do have talented players. I mean, you look at the year Eric Hosmer's having, it's probably his breakout year.
Yeah, and that's a good organization to root for too because it's not one of the big markets. It's not a New York team. It's not a Boston. It's not a Los Angeles. It's not Chicago. So it was kind of nice that for a few years, the Kansas City Royals were the talk of the town in Major League Baseball, and rightfully so, because all those guys, for the most part, were pretty much homegrown guys. When you think of those guys, they're Kansas City Royals.
Absolutely. But my stand-up, my unsung hero, who was mine for midseason?
Oh, I completely forget. I didn't have yours written down. I just had mine written down for notes.
Well, way to go. I'm
not your secretary.
I know, I was kidding. I forgot who I picked, but it's probably not the guy I'm going to pick.
Okay.
Everybody's talking about, big story is the success of the Houston Astros, and, good for them. They've had a great season, over 100 wins, division title for the first time since 2000. Or 2001, excuse me. Was it 2001? Or
I think it was 2001.
Yeah, I think so too. Anyway, a lot of people talk about Correa because it's Correa. A lot of people talk about Altuve, but there's one person on that team that had a really, really good year, and it was Josh Reddick. And there's my pick. I mean, I'm looking at his stats right now. He hit .314. He drove in 82 runs. He scored 77 runs. He didn't play a full year because he battled some injuries. But that was a pretty good lineup piece to have. And I feel like he doesn't get enough credit because you got guys like Correa and Altuve and, the big names like that. But Reddick did well. And defensively, he still has a great arm. And that's my pick.
And not only that, but, you mentioned how he gets kind of lost in the shuffle. Well, one, he was a free agent and he signed with Houston, right? He knew what he was getting into.
Right.
He was completely okay with being that more of a veteran role, knowing he might not play every day.
Exactly.
And he might be under the shadow of some of these young stars. He was okay with that. And he was okay with that because he's such a team-oriented guy. And he's such a good presence to have in the locker room.
Right.
Everywhere he's gone, from Oakland to LA, now to Houston, he's been a good locker room presence to have. He plays the game like he's still a kid. He has all the energy. He's a big wrestling fan. He brings that with him where he goes. He introduced this year for the Astros that the player of the game gets a championship belt that he gets to wear, that they get to wear during their media scrum.
Right.
It's things like that that keep a locker room together. You need a guy or two who's willing to just have fun, and help the cause no matter what. And that's Josh Reddick to a T. One of the most liked guys in the game for many reasons, because what he can do on the diamond and the presence he has in that clubhouse. So I like that. That's a very good pick. It's funny, at first when you said Houston Astros, I thought you were going to say Marwin Gonzalez.
He'd be another one.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's still a crime that he wasn't picked to the All-Star game. But
oh, absolutely. I mean, the guy plays every position and hit very well this year.
yeah, there was a point where it seemed like all he was doing was hitting bombs.
Yeah.
But no, I like your pick too. How about that?
Thank you.
All right, so on to the National League.
Yeah.
Am I going first again?
Yeah, because I need time to think.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did choose this topic kind of last minute before we came on.
Yeah.
Well, I'm staying the same again. I'm sticking with Anthony Rendon of
Not a bad pick.
of the Washington Nationals. Hit 301, 25 home runs, and even 100 RBI. This is another guy who, I mean, you got guys like, you had Ryan Zimmerman, who for most of the year had pretty much a coming out year. Obviously, you have superstar Bryce Harper. You got guys like Trey Turner coming out, making an impact. So when you think Washington Nationals, you think of those guys, and you forget, oh yeah, Anthony Rendon's pretty powerful too. I mean, he's a great presence both fielding and at the plate. I mean, of course, we told the story during our midseason award show, but when you recommended to whoever it was of dropping Anthony Rendon, what was he had the 4-bomb 10 RBI game, or 3-bomb 10 RBI game.
I recommended to my friend that I saw Rendon's stats were pretty terrible at the time, so I'm like, yeah, you know what, drop him, why not? Next day, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, 5 hits, and I look like an asshole.
Pretty much. But like, he's been a very consistent piece to that at Washington puzzle. And I mean, you talk about guys embracing their roles, like, you don't really hear much of anything on Anthony Rendon. I mean, obviously he'll get play when he has a good game, but other than that, it's not really much, if anything. But I don't think he minds that. Some players do well just kind of quietly, like, flying under, like, the mainstream radar. You know what I mean? I think,
especially on that team when you have Harper.
Oh yeah, you have guys like Harper, Scherzer, Strasburg, Gio Gonzalez had a really good year. Yeah, oh yeah, Murphy, exactly.
Yeah. Murphy, and even though he struggled a bit, Wieters too is still a big name.
Yeah.
And then Rendon kind of just flies right in there, and all of a sudden you're looking at him like, wow, this guy could be the MVP. Like, he had that good of a year.
Yeah, there were times where he played like it, so he could definitely be up for consideration. And it's funny considering for most of the year, when people talked MVP with the Nationals, they were talking Ryan Zimmerman. And again, for the most part, rightfully so.
Yeah, and then he struggled at the end, and it became Rendon, the full story. And good for him.
Good for that team too.
Definitely. I'm gonna go a different direction, and I don't know if the player himself is underrated, but I think that the team itself, and I'm surprised that I'm even saying this, was a bit underrated this year, because they were in the hunt for most of the year, and they even lasted until the final couple days of the season. My unsung hero for the NL is Tommy Pham.
Thanks, Pham.
Yeah. I'm looking at his stats now, and he went 2020. He scored 95 runs, 306, 411 on base percentage. His OPS was a 931.
He did kind of have a breakout year.
Pretty impressive season, if you ask me. I don't think he's a rookie. So he's not going to get Rookie of the Year. I don't think he's going to get Rookie of the Year votes. I could be wrong, though.
I don't think he's a rookie.
I don't think he's a rookie either. No, he was a rookie in 2015.
Yeah, because he kind of bounced up and down.
Yeah. That just shows you how underrated he is. I don't even remember when he debuted. Yeah. But yeah, Tommy Pham, pretty impressive year, even though it's still weird not seeing the Cardinals in the playoffs, even though this is the second straight year.
And it's funny, you mentioned that you're kind of surprised you're talking about the team being underrated. Well, I mean, that's because whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, the Cardinals are the hashtag boring model of consistency.
Correct.
That's all they do, man. All they do is just,
All
well,
they
we're
do
not
is
doing so
win,
well.
win.
Let's grow some prospects. Oh, we got the cash money. We'll spend it on Dexter Fowler, who had a
Yeah.
pretty decent year in St. Louis for his first year.
Yeah, I mean, he battled some injuries, but he, still hit like Dexter Fowler,
There was
performed
one
well.
point where he was one of the hottest hitters in baseball.
Absolutely. So,
I was
what
gonna
should
say,
we
where
do?
do you want to go next?
Let's do reliever. Reliever of the year. Why not?
Okay.
I kind of came up with this in the beginning of the day too, or
Oh well,
yesterday, I think.
we did this one mid-season, so I've got two for both.
Okay, good. You want to go ahead then?
For NL or AL?
Let's do NL.
Well, this is kind of an easy one for me, but my NL reliever of the year is one Kenley Jansen of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and kind of rightfully so. 132 ERA, 41 saves, uh, rarely walks any batters at all. Uh, yeah, the Dodgers knew what they were doing when they offered this guy a huge contract extension. He took
Oh,
it
absolutely.
because of the three closers on the market being Chapman, Jansen, and Melanson. Of those three, well, Melanson pretty much fell off a cliff in San Francisco,
Pretty
and
much.
Chapman was battling injuries, was out of the closer's role, then back in it. But Jansen stayed the course, and really, like for the times when the Dodgers were on their big run in the middle of the season, you didn't want to go to that ninth inning because facing the guy from the Netherlands standing on that mound, it's pretty intimidating. And he's such an amazing story. I mean, it gets talked about a lot, but let's keep in mind when he first appeared for the Netherlands in the World Baseball Classic, he was a catcher.
Yep.
He was a catcher. And now here he is talked about as one of the best, if not the best, closer in the game. And not only is it rightfully so, but how can you not like the guy? He always has a positive impact. He's a good interviewer. So, yeah, things are looking good, at least in the back end of the bullpen for the Dodgers going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. And I'm going to pick Kenley Jansen as well. I mean, if Greg Holland didn't struggle at the end, I may have picked him. To be fair, he and Jansen co-led the NL in saves, which is unbelievable considering that, we've talked about this before. When we went into the offseason, we all thought there were three main options for closers, for free agent closers. And you mentioned them, Jansen, Melanson, and Chapman. And then all of a sudden we see the Rockies signing Greg Holland. And I thought, all right, he's an established closer. He did battle an injury, did miss the entire year last year, but this could be good for the Rockies. Ultimately, it was really good for the Rockies because he co-led the NL in saves.
Oh, yeah, low risk, high reward.
Absolutely. And for a while, we were talking more about him than we were about any of the three.
He was my pick for the NL reliever midseason.
Yep. But Jansen, though, I mean, 41 saves, like you mentioned, low 1 ERA, a whip under 109 strikeouts in only 68 innings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is insane. And
I forget what his strikeout to walk ratio is, but it's insane.
Yeah, I would imagine. And then, he had that long streak where he didn't allow a walk. He only allowed 5 home runs on the year, and he only blew 1 save.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a
There
pretty
was
good
one
year
game where
for
he
a
helped the
closer.
Dodgers at the plate.
Yeah.
He had an RBI double.
He doubled. Yep, I remember that. But yeah, I got to go with Jansen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good pick no matter how you slice it.
Absolutely.
All right. AL might be where we differ. Even though this guy had a kind of a decent ERA, 47 saves is nothing to sneeze at. Alex Colomé of the Tampa Bay Rays. Just another one of those classic guy who shifts from before for them. He was like a 7th inning, 8th inning guy. Things happen. He shifts to the closer's role. And for a while, he did his part to help keep the Rays in the wild card hunt because they were there for a while. And having a stable back end of your bullpen, guess what? It's great when a closer can steal you some games.
Yeah. He did lead the MLB. He did lead the majors in saves, 47. But I'm going to go with Craig Kimbrell.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at his numbers. He was pretty much dominant. I mean, he 35 saves, a low 1 ERA, a whip of .68. He held hitters to a 140 batting average. 140.
Mm-hmm.
With 126 strikeouts. He only walked 14. He only allowed 6 home runs. Yes, he blew 4 saves, but the level of dominance at that back end of the bullpen for the Boston Red Sox. Can't ask for more.
Yeah. Yeah, for the Red Sox, the issue isn't handing the ball to Kimbrell. Well, it's making sure they stay in the lead before they hand the ball to Kimbrell. It's making sure
Kimbrell actually gets in the game.
Yes. Because there are times where their 7th inning, 8th inning guys can be a bit rocky.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, even when the Mets traded Addison Reed to the Red Sox, he didn't exactly pitch his best.
No.
And they did that to improve the bullpen. It really didn't do that much. Like, yeah, eventually he got better, but it was pretty much Kimbrell or bust in that bullpen, and that's going to be an issue for them going into the playoffs.
And we'll get to that.
Yes, we will. But first, what else do you want to? What other one do you want to go into? What next one?
Do you want to do manager?
Sure, why
not? Where do you want to start?
We can do AL, and you go first.
Of course I do. This is another one where I'm sticking with my pick.
Last. Okay.
I know. Paul Molitor. Because you and I talked about it when they clinched their playoff spot. They're playing in the wild card game. They're the Wednesday game?
The Twins? No, they're tomorrow.
They are tomorrow. That's right. The Wednesday game is the NL. But I mean, how crazy is it that for the Minnesota Twins, first team in Major League history to go from 100 losses to a playoff spot?
Unreal.
That's insane.
With pretty much the same team.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, is that just somehow the right pieces caught fire. Polanco caught fire. Byron Buxton is becoming a superstar almost overnight.
Is becoming Byron Buxton, the guy we expected.
Yeah, and really, again, that's because, guess what? Paul Molitor motivates this team.
Absolutely.
So, again, we've talked about this before on our midseason award show, but for Manager of the Year, it's never fun to just give it to the guy who leads like the team who has 100+ wins and pretty much hit all the right buttons.
Yeah,
it's more in a way, give it to the guy who motivates his team into a playoff spot, the like underdog feel good story almost.
I'll put it to you this way, like, and I may get some disagreements with this, but a Manager of the Year should go to someone that manages.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a team like the Dodgers, not the Dodgers, I should say the Indians. If you have a team like that won over 100 games, that's been to the World Series before, the manager doesn't really have to do anything. You already have the talent. All you have to do is put together a lineup.
And that even, like, specifically with the Indians, like, as much as I love Terry Francona, like, you got to keep in mind, there was a portion of the year where he couldn't manage games due to health risk, but in-stepped Brad Mills, and they didn't lose a step.
Yeah. They led the American League All-Stars to a win, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it shows that even when the manager isn't needed, they can still produce, and they still have some, respectable guy to go to in case you do need a new manager. I like Brad Mills.
Mm-hmm. But again, like that just speaks to the point that, like, yeah, like you want the guy who's kind of coming up and rallying his troops, and like you hear his name and you're like, oh, like their team made the playoffs, or like, oh, their team made a good push, like good for them. So yeah, Paul Molitor would get my vote.
He gets my vote as well. I mean, it was Kevin Cash,
right?
Because I saw the Rays were doing really well, and I thought that they were going to make a playoff push, and they did, but they didn't get there. So,
right.
It didn't help that they lost the game that I went to.
No comment.
But yeah, I mean, I mentioned, like I said earlier, manager of the year should go to a guy who actually manages. Well, the Twins, in this case, they went into the trade deadline. They traded away their closer. And they also traded. Who else did they trade away? I forgot.
Didn't they trade away another one of their relievers?
Was it a reliever or was it a starter?
Oh no, they traded Jaime Garcia because remember he got traded and then he ended up back in. He was with the Yankees and then he got traded again.
So they traded away their closer. Then they traded away a starter, and then all of a sudden they went on a dominant run and made the playoffs. And keep in mind too, the second half they were first in the American League in runs, and a month went by where they didn't have Miguel Sano, and they still might not have him, and they still made the playoffs. That just shows you what type of manager Paul Molitor is.
Yeah, it's crazy when teams sell at the trade deadline thinking, oh, like maybe this isn't our time, and they get better and either make the playoffs or almost. See the New York Yankees last year. They sell Chapman, they sell Andrew Miller, and people are thinking, oh, for the first time, the Yankees are rebuilding. Well, yes, in a sense, but then
they're rebuilding while contending.
They were in contention until one of the last days of the season.
Yeah.
So, and like Brett and I talked about how the same thing happened with the St. Louis Blues in hockey last year. They sold off their big piece at the trade deadline in Kevin Shattenkirk to the Capitals, and they got better, and they made some noise in the playoffs. It's weird how that happens, but sometimes it, like, I'm not going to say it, like, rallies a team because, like, obviously the teammates don't want to see one of their teammates and friends go, but it's weird what'll make teams click.
Yep. For the National League.
Oh, I'm still going first.
I'll go first this time.
Okay.
Even though I hate going first. But yeah.
I don't care.
I believe my pick was Craig Counsell for midseason.
Yes, that sounds right.
For this one, I'm going to go with Bud Black, which, again, isn't really a bad choice.
No.
Because, the Rockies went on a really bad run after that three-way tie for first place with them, the Diamondbacks, and the Dodgers. And yet, somehow, some way, they're still in the playoffs. With the pitching staff that I knew wasn't going to last. Some of them still did pretty well, and others fell apart like I pretty much expected them to. Greg Holland struggled a bit. Some of the offense struggled a bit. Jonathan Lucroy did not have a good year. Trevor Story did not have a good year. Ian Desmond had a terrible year plagued by injuries. And, those are three big pieces in your lineup, and yet you still made the playoffs. Did I mention Cargo?
Yeah, until September, like, he was struggling a lot.
Yeah, he had a terrible year too. But they're still in the playoffs. So they must have done something right, and they did. Their manager led them to victory.
Yeah, I mean, speaking to that point, like, I had for mine in the midseason, I had a tie between Bud Black and the guy who I'm picking. But speaking on the Rockies, yeah, Bud Black returning to the manager role, always been a good, like, morale guy. He was a good leader when he was in San Diego, pitcher, so you figure that helped his team probably for most of the year. But even with, like, those whole holes to fill at some points, he was always saying, hey, like don't put it, or something on the lines of, like, don't put it on our guys. Or, he was saying, don't worry about our guys. We'll bounce back. And for the most part, they have, because even though they're the second wild card spot, yeah, like you said, they were able to get someone hot, hold off the Brewers, and they're in the wild card game against the Diamondbacks. We'll see what happens there. But Black, even though guys like Cargo were struggling, he always kept them motivated and focused.
Absolutely.
Like today on MLB Network, there was one point where someone was talking about Carlos Gonzalez, and he knows he struggled, but he was never, woe is me. He was never down on his luck.
Yeah, I was about to say. It wasn't like Matt Harvey.
Yeah, he knew what he had to do. And sure enough, in September, I guess something clicked, and he was one of the hottest players in baseball for that month.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk about the wildcard game later, but Black, not a bad choice. I'm going with the other half of the NL wildcard game here, and Troy Lavello. Torey
Lavulo.
God bless you. But Yeah. Oh, look at that! There it is, right there, written on Tori Lavula. Yep. But the point is, no matter how you pronounce his name, guess what?
Tori,
The
what's
guy,
his face?
no matter how much you pronounce his name, guess what? The guy got his team to produce this year, and when they got JD Martinez and by the trade deadline, they got even better. No one was really thinking too much of the Diamondbacks this year. You're thinking, all right, maybe they somewhat turned around. They got AJ Pollock coming back, but they got some players to step up in a big way. Greinke starts to look like he returns to form. Robbie Ray had a standout year. Zach Godley's looking well in the bullpen. Francisco Rodney's a pretty reliable closer.
Fernando Rodney.
Fernando Rodney. I'm sorry. I was close. No, but again, the point is, this is a guy who was kind of highly sought after in the offseason to manage really any team. People were wondering if he should just move up to to the managerial job in Boston, but he goes to Arizona to say, hey, I can manage a team, and guess what? He did pretty well in his first year.
Absolutely. It's going to be an interesting wild card game, but we'll get to that in
Yes.
a little bit. Let's do Rookie of the Year. I mean, do we really have to debate?
Debate? No. But for NL, I'm going to get a little weird.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Because if Rhys Hoskins played a full year...
Oh, Jesus. No, I agree. Go ahead.
Scary stuff, my friend. I forget what the exact 162 game projection was. But when he came up, I mean, at first, he went like 0 for 12 in his first few at-bats. Hey, sometimes rookies get off on a wrong foot.
I remember
then something happened.
I remember there was a segment. I don't know if it was a segment or if it was just like a passing joke on MLB Network of when will Rhys Hoskins get his first major league hit?
Right, yeah. But then he got a hit, and boy, he found something because
yes, he did.
He just turned it on. I forget what the exact number of home run was for the pace, but whatever it was, fastest to whatever amount of home runs in Major League history. Rhys Hoskins, not Bonds, not Ruth, not Aaron, not McGuire. Rhys Hoskins. And I know he was only up for the final 2 months of the season, so he'll get mild play at best for this award.
It's funny, though, in those final 2 months of the season, well, I should say the second half of the season, the Phillies were only one game under 500.
Yeah, and
which is
a big reason why.
Which is why I'm stunned. This is a topic for another day, of course, which is why I'm stunned they fired Pete Mackanin.
Yeah. Again, like we were talking before we went on air, I think that because they did that when they did that, I think they have someone else in mind. Okay. I don't know exactly who that is, but you don't make that move when you do without having someone else.
A reason. Yeah.
Yes. A convincing reason.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just firing the guy to fire the guy.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense. But like you said, another topic for another day. The point is, if Rhys Hoskins had a full year in the majors, it'd be interesting to see how much of a debate this would be. Because let's face it, Cody Bellinger is winning this award.
Oh, absolutely.
Who are we trying to kid?
Yeah.
But in the final 2 months of the season, it was the Rhys Hoskins show, and with good reason too, because pretty much every time he came up to bat, whether you were at the ballpark or watching on TV, it was must watch. When me, you, and friend of the show Alec Costival went to Citi Field on Labor Day, Alec made sure he was in his seat every time Rhys Hoskins was at the plate.
Absolutely.
And because we were in left field, guess what? There's a chance he could hit the ball to you.
Yep.
So
there's also a chance, because he was playing left field that day, there was also a chance that he could toss a ball up.
Yeah, true. So Cody Bellinger is going to win this award for the NL, absolutely.
Yeah.
But be on the lookout for Rhys Hoskins. Obviously, I don't think he's going to carry on his astronomical pace that he had in the final 2 months.
I don't think
so. But
if
he can at least stay consistent, look out, because not only him, but him, Nick Williams, and Aaron Altair, guess what? That's a scary 3-4-5 for the Philadelphia Phillies this upcoming year.
I agree. But yeah, National League Rookie of the Year, Bellinger. American League Rookie of the Year, come on.
All rise.
Here comes the Aaron freaking Judge. But here's a question I have for you.
Uh-oh.
They didn't ask this on MLB Network. I'm pretty sure they did at one point. But if you take Aaron Judge out, if you take Bellinger out, who are the Rookies of the Year?
Rhys Hoskins.
For the NL, yeah.
Who's his competition at that point? I can't think of anyone.
I can't think of anyone either.
And for the AL?
Ian Happ. He's the only one I can think of.
He was streaky at best.
Yeah, he was.
But
AL is tough.
Yeah, because I mean, like, there's Bradley Zimmer who made an impact. Trey Mancini.
Yeah,
Trey Mancini who made an impact at one point.
Ben Gamel on the Mariners. Who else? Jesus Christ. No, not Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ for Rookie of the Year.
Those would probably be the big two.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it just kind of I don't say it sucks, but it gets kind of disappointing when you know who's gonna win and you can't debate it.
Yeah, but there are some years where that just happens. I mean, let's think of like the years when like it was a given that Verlander and Kershaw were gonna win the Cy Young. I mean, the debate there was if they were gonna win MVP or not.
Yeah, that's what made it interesting because not a lot of people are fans of pitchers winning MVP.
I am.
I am too. I mean,
all right.
If they help your team, they help your team. It doesn't matter if it's 32 games or 162 games.
Yeah, I hate the argument that, it's most valuable player, not most valuable pitcher. Pitchers have the Cy Young.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why there's a Cy Young award. Or what about relievers winning the Cy Young?
If they stand out enough, why not?
Yeah,
if they're more valuable of a pitcher than any other starter in their league, yeah, you give it to the best pitcher. Starter, reliever, closer, doesn't matter. An MVP, you give it to the best player, hitter, or pitcher, does not matter.
That'll bring me to my NL MVP, but we'll get to that soon. First, we'll talk about the Cy Young Award.
Yeah. AL or NL? I can start it.
Let's do AL.
All right. Speaking of nicknames, even though this player reportedly doesn't like his nickname, I'm going with the Klubot, Corey Kluber.
I don't know why he doesn't like it. It fits.
He seems like the guy who just wouldn't like any nickname. He just likes being Corey or Kluber, but whatever he wants.
He strikes me as like the serious guy. Like no nonsense, all business, which is perfectly fine.
Oh, yeah. He could be whatever he wants to be. He's got a WAR of 8. 18-4, 2.25 ERA, 265 strikeouts with just over 200 innings. I mean, when the Cleveland Indians, especially when they had that monster 22 record-setting winning streak in the AL, it was pretty good to have Corey Kluber on the mound, especially was he on the mound for 20 or 21?
Kluber?
I forget. Yeah. He was on the mound for one of those.
I forgot.
I forget too, but I mean, when they were on that run getting towards like 19, 20, 21, and he was on the mound, I was like, it might have been 20 because I think he pitched a complete game shutout.
Yes.
There you go. I don't think you need any more proof that, this guy, big time pitcher, he's won the award before, was kind of hit or miss last year, but this year, the dude's an ace no matter what. So I know it can kind of be a tight race with him and Chris Sale, but I'm giving it to Corey Kluber.
I'm also going to give it to Corey Kluber. I know some of you all 0 viewers are probably expecting a debate of some sort, but Kluber's just that good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the stats between him and Sale. Sale has more strikeouts. We got it. But Kluber's allowed less runs, less home runs, less walks. He still struck out 265 batters. You mentioned the War of 8. He has more wins. He has a higher win percentage. He's 18-4. And once he went on that slump in the beginning of the season, and once he hit the disabled list, I'm like, oh my God, the Indians are done. Like, they just lost their ace. Like, what's left? Then he came back and went on probably one of the most dominant runs that I've ever seen. And that's my pick for Cy Young, because when he took that mound, the day he got off the disabled list, he became the Corey Kluber that I know.
Mm-hmm. And it also speaks to that, like, because keep in mind, the Indians won over 100-plus games. When he went down, they had guys step up. Carlos Carrasco had a very good year and really solidified himself as, like, the number 2. And that's a pretty good 1, 2, 3 with Kluber, Carrasco, and Bauer.
Yeah, Bauer stepped it up. Salazar stepped it up in the bullpen and stepped it up again as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
So now they have options.
Yeah, so, I mean, the problem for them, unfortunately, in the postseason last year was, guess what? Pitchers kept getting hurt.
Yeah.
So if they can have a healthy rotation this time around, I mean, again, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, look out for the Cleveland Indians in the playoffs.
I agree. National League.
Let me put. This one's kind of tough.
This one is very tough.
I'm sticking with my guns, aka my midseason picks, and going with Max Scherzer.
Okay.
16-6, WAR of 7.5, 268 strikeouts, 202 thirds innings pitched, 251 ERA. The Nationals, ever since they signed this guy, have not regretted a penny they've paid him. He's been the stable ace that they need him to be, especially considering that Steven Strasburg, who has been good this year, as per usual, has injury problems. So because of that, you need a stable number 1, and Max Scherzer has been that guy, again, ever since he signed on the dotted line with the Washington Nationals. So, yeah, I'm comfortable keeping him as my Cy Young pick.
I don't remember who I picked.
You might have agreed with me, or you might have picked Kershaw. I forget.
This one's tough. Oh my God.
Right?
I'm gonna agree and say Scherzer.
Yay!
Oh man, it's tough not to pick Kershaw because he's Kershaw. But Kershaw missed some time. I mean, Scherzer missed some time too, but Scherzer started more games. And yeah, he started more games. He gave up less home runs. He struck out more. He gave up less hits. Lower opposing batting average, a lower whip. The ERA was higher than Kershaw's, but it was still a 2.51, 16-6 record. Why not? I mean, I wouldn't mind it going either way, but why not Scherzer?
And the key factor here for me too was keeping in mind the stretch where the Dodgers, for whatever reason, just couldn't win a game. Keep in mind, Kershaw was healthy at that point.
Yeah. And
so,
also, kind of going off of that, the Dodgers have proven they can win without him.
Yeah, true.
The Nationals, you take Scherzer away, I don't know what the hell happens.
Yeah.
You know, he only missed one start when he hit the DL because of the neck problem. I believe it was a neck problem.
Yes.
But he still started 31 games for them. But if you take him away for a season, I don't know where their pitching staff is. Gio Gonzalez is your ace. I mean, the year that he had, okay, that's fine.
Well, Strasburg is your ace when healthy, if that's the case.
When healthy.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
That's
but
the
when
big,
he's
that's
healthy,
the big
yeah,
key.
but when he's healthy, you want him on that mound because guess what? He can make an impact.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's weird that we're both in agreement here. But yeah, Max Scherzer, yeah, I'd give him the Cy Young again.
I think NL MVP we might be in disagreement, but We'll do AL MVP first because that's our last award.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We're here already, aren't we?
Do we have another one? I forgot.
We did team, but I mean, let's save team and just talk about playoffs after this.
Sure. I mean, and to be fair,
it's a long show.
Yeah. Plus, like the argument you can make is the team of the year is the one who wins the World Series.
Surprise.
So,
American
AL
League
or MVP? We'll do AL.
American League. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. I know there's a debate here. You can go one way or the other, but I'm going with all rise. I am going with Aaron Judge. Now, I know what some of you out there are thinking, but he had that huge period after the All-Star game where he slumped. Yes, absolutely he did. But Mark DeRosa on MLB Central, I think it was a week or two ago, did a really good piece on showcasing how a lot of recent AL MVPs have struggled and still won the award. Guys like Dustin Pedroia, Justin Morneau. Mike Trout had a big slump when he won
so
the
did
award
Miguel
for crying
Cabrera.
out loud. Exactly. So the point is, like, yeah, guys aren't – the MVP isn't always going to have, like, a very consistent or, like,
I'll agree
you know what I
with
mean?
that,
Like,
yeah.
smooth sailing season. And this guy, like, people – I mean, we were all talking about the baby Bombers last year, but Aaron Judge, when he was up during the last part of last season, wasn't doing well. In fact, he had the poor average, I forget what the number is, saved on his phone, and he looks at it every day to remind himself, yeah, nothing's for granted up here anymore. So he gets named the starter, and he's the story of the first half. Easy. Just home runs that
dominance
are out of like just baseball movies they go so far and cartoons. But I think he really gave the Yankees a shot in the arm and gave them the confidence to go out, trade for Sonny Gray, and do all those things. Trade for Todd Frazier to make themselves that much more dominant of a team. Because until like the last couple days, they were chasing the Boston Red Sox to possibly win the AL East. They weren't just going to be the wild card team. And obviously, that's where they are. But you know what? Again, I feel very confident in giving Aaron Judge the MVP despite his slump after the All-Star game.
Side note, I really thought they were going to win the division. I really
They were close.
They were really close. And that really is a shame too, because, and this goes back to the day they clinched a postseason berth and they celebrated, and you can celebrate, that's perfectly fine. But then the day after, Girardi decided to rest everyone. I'm like, is that really a smart move? Like, I started to see him rest some of the regulars often. And to me, that was a mistake because you were still in it for the division. You were only 2 back going into the final couple of days of the season. Like, you still had a shot. But that's just a side note.
Yeah. But yeah, no. And also, I didn't mention, let's not forget, he broke Mark McGwire's rookie record of home runs in a season.
Yeah.
A record that was in place for 20-plus years. So, yeah, I have zero problem giving this award to Aaron Judge.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And there are going to be a lot of people that are be like, oh, of course you're going to vote for them because he plays for the Yankees. Well, you know what? A good season is a good season. Doesn't matter what team you play for.
Yep.
However,
I was going to say, that being said, you're not going to take Aaron Judge.
With that said, yeah, I'm going to go with Jose Altuve. Because, you talk, a lot of people look at that slump and they say, now I know Altuve's got it. Well, even with the slump, Altuve doesn't slump. He doesn't.
Yeah.
And to me, it's all about consistency, and that's what he is. Consistent.
No, you're completely right. And for the record, too, like, if this award goes to Jose Altuve, I'll have zero complaints.
Yeah, and plus,
I'm a huge Jose Altuve fan, and you're absolutely right. The guy produces. Even though he's my height of 5'6", he leads that Houston team, and rightfully so. Not only does he lead them in the locker room, guess what? He leads them on the field, too, every day. And when he's batting first, second, or whatever, odds are pretty good that he's going to get a hit or two, and he might drive in a run. He'll probably score a run or two. Yeah, he's probably going to make some highlight reel plays with that leather too at second base.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if Jose Altuve gets this award, I'm not going to complain. Both guys deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's all about consistency, and this guy just can't stop hitting.
True.
Like, this is just a guy that can't be stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, yeah, Judge had a great year. 50 home runs. In an era where everything's about the home run, 50 home runs is still 50 home runs. And it's a great accomplishment. But if you look at Altuve and his numbers month by month, there's no comparison. He's better.
Yeah, I mean,
and also I see Altuve. I know we talked about earlier how Josh Reddick's kind of the locker room leader, guys like veterans like McCann, guys like Carlos Beltran, but to me, Jose Altuve is the leader of the Astros.
Oh yeah.
The Yankees, to me, I look at more of a guy like a Brett Gardner. As much as I don't like him, I don't really see Judge as the leader yet. I'm pretty sure he will be in that role eventually, and I hate to use that as the argument, but I think Altuve's just got it all.
Yeah. I mean, again, I won't be disappointed with either guy who wins it.
Yeah, me neither. I would love it if Judge won. Good for him. But I think it goes to Altuve. For National League.
My turn. All right. Let me pull up his stats real quick. And I'm curious to see how Baseball Reference lists his stats. I know stalling.
Way to go.
Oh no, it does have his stats by team. Awesome. So my pick is a little off the board for this one.
Yep.
I don't think he'll get it because of the whole he wasn't in the same league for a whole season. But when he got traded from the Detroit Tigers to the Arizona Diamondbacks, yeah, JD Martinez turned it on. And he was performing well with the Tigers too. Ooh, I mean, his total stats, total average in both leagues of 303, 45 homers, 104 RBI. He was playing pretty well for a struggling Tigers team too. But then he goes to Arizona. I mean, yeah, his average dips down like a whole 2 points. He had a 302 average there. but even so, 29 home runs and 65 RBI when being traded to Arizona.
Yeah.
Becoming the 1A there to Paul Goldschmidt. They were already a good team without him, but he gets traded there and shoots some life into their offense like no tomorrow. And it becomes not only if they're going to make the playoffs, but the Dodgers may have the division locked up, but are they going to keep home field? How much can they keep home field by? Because they just became close enough to automatic, and a lot of it was because of the fact that JD Martinez just really provided value. So again, I know he's probably not going to get it. There are tons of other guys who are going to get more play and deserve more play for this. But yeah, if it were up to me, guess what? I'd probably give my first place vote to JD Martinez, saying he made that team a lot better and he made that team very dangerous, which I'll talk about the Diamondbacks more when we get to postseason.
The most astounding thing to me is he missed the first month and a half of the season with injury.
Yeah.
And he still hit over 40 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, even though he got traded, if he played a full year, yes, I agree. Because he could have had how many home runs did he wind up having?
Total he had 45.
Could have been on pace for 55. He could have passed Aaron Judge. He could have been close to Stanton. If he played that full season. But
right.
There's one stat that I look at with the guy I'm going to pick that also astounds me. And this is in an era where, injuries are constant. Like I've seen so many alerts that say, oh, this guy got placed on the DL. Oh, this guy's going to miss a year. Oh, this guy's going to miss a couple weeks or a start or two starts, whatever. And then I look at some of these names, and I see next to their name games played 162. And I look at one of the names, and it's Joey Votto. I don't think there's anything better than having a guy that can go out there and play every single game in a season. No matter if they're a good player or a great player like Votto is. And Votto had a tremendous year. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, the Reds are in last place. MVP means best player. That's what it means. And looking at Joey Votto's stats, played all games, scored over 100 runs, drove in 100 runs, hit 36 home runs. He hit 320, 454 on base percentage. He walked, I think, over 100 times. His OPS was a 1.032. For a team like the Reds that don't really have anybody to turn to, you look at this guy, and there's nothing more valuable than a guy that plays 162 games, no matter what team you play for. And that's my pick for MVP, because I think every team needs a guy like Joey Votto. And if you want to talk and if you want to talk about defense too, he's one of the best fielding first basemen in MLB. Just to add to his already impressive resume. And he's doing all of this at 34. Come on. Case closed.
I'm not going to argue with you. You know why? Because I couldn't argue with you back when you picked him in July, too. No, I mean, and I also can't argue because I'm the guy who always brings up, oh, Matt Kemp should have won the 2011 MVP over Ryan Braun. Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. And don't get me wrong, I still like my pick of JD Martinez.
Oh, I do too. Not a bad pick at all.
But, yeah, and I think Joey Votto is going to get some play because guess what? It's hard to ignore what he does on the baseball field. You can't do it. And you mentioned 162 games played. And
it's not the first time he's done it.
No, it's amazing what he does for that Reds team that obviously is going through turnover right now, is going through change right now. And people were upset that Joey Votto got the big contract extension. But guess what? He's played up to it.
In
every sense, he's played up to that contract. So you can't ever say, oh, they're paying Joey Votto too much money. No, they're not. Because
they're paying him the money he deserves.
Yeah. In fact, hell, he could deserve a raise with the way he plays. Like, he could go in and ask for more money. And guess what? If I'm Reds management, I say, here you go. Write down your number.
Here's $5.
Pretty much. Like,
I would be emptying every pocket in that front office.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to get it because we know how these baseball writers vote.
Which is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, have you seen their ages? It's the old school way of thinking.
Yeah.
But if Joey Votto were to get this award, I would not hate it.
I wouldn't either.
I'd love it.
I would love it, and I would like it. I would like it if Stanton got it, because to be fair, this was his first full year in a long time.
And this is why, like, I mean, I know, like, you were more upset at the Marlins front office about his massive contract extension with Stanton, but, I mean, part of that may have been because of his injuries, but, I mean, 59 home runs, that shows you what the guy can do in pretty much a full season.
He's finally lived up to it fully.
And it seems that all signs are him being traded in this offseason because of the new owner shift, but we'll see what happens. But
yeah, he even released a statement. I don't mean to cut you off, but he released a statement apparently saying, like, he's tired of rebuilding. So it could be any day now he gets traded. The question is, to who?
Yeah, and we could talk about that another day, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Dodgers don't make it to the World Series. It wouldn't surprise me if you see him in Hollywood next year.
Hollywood I can't really say the Yankees because they're already fully stocked up in outfielders.
Yeah. No,
Plus,
I think if he gets traded anywhere, I mean, I know there were the rumors to him possibly going to the Phillies, but I mean, now that the Phillies have a young outfield, I want to see that young outfield for 162 games of Herrera, Williams, and Altair.
right.
I want to see them all together. I don't think you need to break that up with Stanton, but yeah, I think he'd be Dodger bound.
One thing that I want to see and then I don't want to see is Mike Trout as a Philly.
Another story for another day. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
So, but let's talk about the playoffs because we've already rambled a lot.
Yeah, we have. Playoff time. Playoff baseball begins tomorrow.
Let's talk about them wild card games.
Damn wild card games. Yeah, tomorrow. Twins versus Yankees, and then Wednesday, Diamondbacks versus Rockies. Tomorrow night's game takes place in the Bronx, and then Wednesday's game takes place in Arizona. I'm stunned that the Twins are in the playoffs. I still am, but it's great for that organization. It's great for all those players. They get to experience the postseason for the first time, even if it's only one game. Yankees too, they had a good year, and even though they didn't win the division, they're still in it. But yeah, this wild card game. In fact, both wild card games intrigue me, especially the NL one. Which one of these intrigues you the most?
I'd say the AL one because, I mean, even though the Rockies kind of fell and people were wondering if Milwaukee was going to sneak in during those last couple weeks, like you said before, no one expected the Twins to make this kind of run this year.
No.
With the sellers at the AL trade deadline. So I think the Twins make the AL wildcard game so much more intriguing because, don't get me wrong, both games should be good. Both games should be competitive.
Absolutely.
But as far as intrigue goes, I'm definitely got my eyes focused a little more on the Bronx.
Yeah. To me, I don't even know if I have more intrigue in the game or if I have more intrigue in the NLDS. Because, looking at Diamondbacks Rockies, they've both proven they can beat the Dodgers. And both teams could potentially be facing the Dodgers in the first round of the playoffs.
And, especially the Rockies, but both teams have shown they can hit off Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
And as we've seen in postseasons past, Clayton Kershaw struggles in the postseason.
Yes, he does.
And guess what? He's got to shake that moniker. I mean, it was the same case with Peyton Manning during his career in the NFL.
He won 2 rings, but he wasn't the best quarterback.
Well, yeah, at least come postseason. Regular season, one of the best quarterbacks ever, no comparison. And same thing with Clayton Kershaw. He's making a case to be one of the best pitchers of all time. He's starting to build that resume. But he hasn't done well in any stage of the postseason, whether it was when he was a young up-and-coming pitcher or whether it's now where he's considered the best pitcher in all of baseball.
Yeah.
And again, both these teams have shown that they can hit off Clayton Kershaw.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that to me is the most intriguing matchup of the first round, after the wild card games of, which of these teams is going to make it, and could they continue to give Clayton Kershaw fits?
Yeah, but that's why the NL wildcard game intrigues me more because, what if the Rockies advance to the NLCS or if the Diamondbacks advance to the NLCS? I mean, especially in the case of the Diamondbacks, there's a legitimate argument that they're going to be the NL team in the World Series.
I buy into that.
I buy
into that 100%. Yeah. Because the Nationals, guess what? You got to show me that you can't choke in the NLDS. Cubs, yeah, I get it. You found out what it takes last year, but a lot more struggles this year. For a while, people weren't sure if the Cubs were even going to be a factor.
Not to mention their pitching staff is not healthy. Jake Arrieta has been dealing with injuries. John Lester really imploded after his great season last year.
Kyle Hendricks fell down to earth.
He did. The plus side is Wade Davis at the back end of the bullpen, but you have to get to him, and I don't know if they can.
Yeah, and then the Dodgers, I mean, yeah, they had a hot stretch, but also they had a really, really cold stretch.
Yeah.
So which Dodgers team are we going to get? But the Arizona Diamondbacks, this could be a team that's equipped to go to the World Series. So if you see the Arizona Diamondbacks late in October, yeah, don't be surprised. Because this team is hungry and ready to make a name for themselves.
The thing about the AL wildcard game, I don't think either team can beat Cleveland.
No.
I really don't think so. Especially in the, I mean, the Twins have competed with them a lot because they're in the same division, but I don't see that happening.
No, I mean, obviously everyone knows about the 22-game win streak. This Cleveland Indians team just, once they finally got on their gear, because they struggled for a little bit like the Cubs did in the beginning of the season, but once they found their niche, guess what? They didn't stop.
Nope.
And that's what happens when you have guys, I mean, we mentioned Carrasco and Bauer stepping up for them, staying healthy, and even guys like Clevenger, who weren't the greatest pitchers, but they stepped up when they needed to. So, yeah, if you can run 4 guys out there for the 4-man playoff rotation that can pitch well, guess what? You're looking pretty good for October, especially when you have that big winning streak and you're regarded as one of the hottest teams in baseball.
Yeah. Then there's the Red Sox. They just happen to be there.
Yeah, because, I mean, the Red Sox were looking well for a while, but then not only did they kind of get tripped up a little bit towards the end of the year, but a lot of that had to do with injuries. Guess what? Mid-September to late September, not the time for your team to start to get nicked up a little bit.
Exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, you've got Chris Sale. Yeah, Drew Pomeranz had a nice year, but other than that, I don't think they have the starting pitching depth after that.
I don't think they have a believable pitching staff. I really don't. I mean, Sale obviously, but we know Price struggles in the postseason,
and he'll probably be coming out of the bullpen.
Yeah, and after Drew Pomeranz,
yeah, because Porcello came back down to earth.
Yeah, as I expected, and everybody thought I was, stupid for thinking that, but I knew it. Like, at the end of the day, I said it's Rick Porcello. I don't believe this. It's not gonna last. And then he won the Cy Young, and I'm just like,
just you wait.
It's not gonna last. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then of course Houston, who for a while were the favorites. Now, I don't think so.
I mean, but props to them for trading for Justin Verlander when they should have done it a month before.
Yeah, a little bit too late, but I mean, hey, the starts they got out of Verlander, it's probably the best run of the season for him.
He's starting game 1 of the ALDS for them.
Yeah, he was 5-0 with an ERA just over 1 in all of his starts with the Astros. That's all you needed. And even if it was just 5 or 6 starts, those were crucial 5 or 6 starts.
Yes, they were.
And yeah, game 1 starter, that's good. Great to see him back in the postseason because we know he has the ability to shut people down. We've seen it before in Oakland 2 straight years.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And props to him for making that comeback, too. He won comeback player of the year last year with good reason. Probably should have won Cy Young. I mean, we know how his lovely fiance feels about that. But I mean, good for him for just keeping his head down, even in Detroit, saying all the right things. I love that during the July trade deadline when he tweeted the selfie of himself still in the locker room.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. And then Yu Darvish did the same thing, but then he got traded. So it's funny how that worked out. But no, I mean, credit to the Houston Astros for making the August trade deadline more exciting than the July trade deadline somehow.
Yeah, okay. Really weird.
But yeah, for Houston, Uh, Houston Cleveland could be a very good, interesting matchup for the ALCS.
I agree.
I mean, like, that's going to be a fun series to watch, provided it happens.
It's going to be tough to see one of them get eliminated.
Yeah, because both teams deserve it.
Oh man,
both teams are fun to root for.
I swear, like if it'd be the end of the world if the Indians got eliminated in the first round.
Yeah.
Oh my God! You go from winning. Was it 22 or 23?
22 in a row.
It was 22 in a row to getting eliminated in the first round. Ugh.
What if both them and Houston lose in the first round?
All right, then I'm not watching the playoffs.
I was gonna say, what if it's a Oh God, do we really need another Yankees Red Sox ALCS?
That's what Major League Baseball wants. That's what's gonna happen. I even I talked to my uncle about this too. My uncle who got me the job with MLB. He even said like the guys on these networks, they don't want to see an Indians Diamondbacks World Series. They want to see the Yankees and they want to see a team like the Dodgers. Like they want to see a Yankees Red Sox ALCS. Like they want to see the big teams. So it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens, and hopefully the Fox executives don't kill themselves.
It's so dumb too that like leagues want that, because like it's kind of the same thing in like the NHL too, because like people got up in arms like how Nashville like became a big hockey market. No, you want big markets everywhere. You don't want just powerhouse markets in the Northeast or up in Canada. Like, no, you want a team to come out of the blue and then make themselves an established name. That's what makes things exciting. That's why because people love like underdogs and upsets. Why do you think the NCAA tournament does so well? Because guess what? Programs go in and just make a name for themselves, make upsets, and people want to see how far Cinderella can go.
Yeah.
Why is that such a bad thing in pro sports?
Exactly.
I don't get it.
Like, it's entertaining. It's different. Like, you get a different winner of the NCAA championship every single year.
Something like that, yeah.
You know, you get for the most part, you get a different World Series winner. And I know for a while it wasn't like that, but, you know, you get my point.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? Like, a team like the Nashville Predators, I'm glad that their fan base has become so big. I'm glad that they started to take, you know, sports fans by storm. You know, they've done really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Yeah, so are we doing predictions on this thingy, or?
Sure. Let's start with the wild card games, obviously, because we can't predict the second round or the first round until they happen.
For AL,
ugh.
I might lean Minnesota Twins. Maybe it's because that's what I want to happen.
Yeah.
Because like we both said, I don't think either team is going to beat Cleveland.
No.
Maybe the Yankees will put up more of a fight, but I mean, that would really cap off the feel-good story for the Minnesota Twins if they at least made the playoffs after, and like made the playoffs, not wildcard game, made the playoffs after the previous season where they lost over 100 games. To me, that would really help solidify them. And again, even if it's without Miguel Sano, like, so be it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the Yankees win, but I don't know. I mean, because Severino's starting for the Yankees. He doesn't have postseason experience. That could get to these young Yankees. I mean, I know barely anybody has experience on the Twins. The one guy who does have experience is Joe Mauer.
Yep.
So he's just been that cool head in that clubhouse. Basically, not player manager because he's been playing and playing well.
But leader.
Yeah, he could be there to calm down those guys, be like, hey, like, just take a deep breath, guys. We're just playing baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, other than, like, yeah, there's Brett Gardner and Jacoby Ellsbury, but I don't know. For some reason, Joe Mauer sticks out to me more as that guy to be like, all right, let's all take a deep breath and just go out there and play our game.
Yeah, and it's not like he's not doing anything either. Like, he went on a really good run the last couple of months of the season.
Yeah.
Like, when those Twins started hitting, so did he.
Yeah.
I want Minnesota. I'm picking the Yankees. I hate it. I want to just like die after I said that, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the Yankees. But at the same time, though, the Twins should have absolutely no shame at all. Like, they made it to the postseason when almost none of us expected them to.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even if it's one game, like, they made it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so American League, I'll go the Yankees facing the Indians.
Okay.
National League, I gotta go Arizona.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't be surprised that the Rockies win it because I know even though they're pitching shaky, their offense when they're clicking is one of the best in baseball. But that Diamondbacks team just looks so complete to me that they can, again, like we were just talking about, it wouldn't surprise me if they end up in the World Series because they just look from top to bottom, at least in the NL, with so many other teams having question marks. They have nothing to lose.
Nope.
Because the Nationals, if they lose again, well, and guess what? A lot of people are going to be looking at them and thinking, okay, what's this team got to do to get over the hump?
I
The
was going to
Cubs,
say, like, a lot of people are going to start to fall off the bandwagon.
mm-hmm. The Dodgers, obviously, there's a lot of pressure on them. And the Cubs, they have the least amount of pressure out of those three, but because they won the World Series last year. But still, like, there's obviously pressure there, too, because now the Cubs fans are saying, like, okay, we won a World Series. Like, we'd like to continue that trend. Guess what? The Diamondbacks are coming in thinking, we're gonna turn some heads. We're gonna make some names for ourselves.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Cubs too. A lot of people are overlooking this. Theo Epstein came in and made a 5-year plan. Well, he didn't make a plan for after the 5 years. So now what happens? Like, okay, they won the World Series. Now what?
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if that question gets answered and how it gets answered.
Yep. And then we'll go to the ALDS. So I have the Yankees facing the Indians. You have the Twins facing the Indians. And then we have the Red Sox versus the Astros.
All right. Well, for the first matchup, 1, 2, 3, Indians.
Indians. I don't see the Yankees or the Twins being legit threats. I really don't.
No.
And even if you want to point to just how great the Yankees bullpen is, I personally think it's overrated, but that's just me. If you want to compare bullpens, Andrew Miller,
Yeah, give me
Cody
Andrew Miller
Allen,
to Cody Allen any day of the week.
If you're gonna move Clevenger to the bullpen, if you're gonna move Salazar to the bullpen, there's a pretty legitimate balance of good bullpens, but I still think the Indians bullpen's better.
Same.
For the other matchup, Houston.
Same. That's to me. That's what has to happen. Just because, like, I know it's a dumb reason when it comes to sports, but that city does deserve it, especially after going through all the Harvey nonsense.
Yeah, see that I hate to use.
Yeah, I hate that as a reason, but it would be good to see, and that team does deserve it.
Yeah, and it's not like there's other reasons why they shouldn't win. Like, well, I'm not just gonna say, oh, they should win because of the hurricane. No, they should win because they've never won a World Series, and it would be good for baseball.
Yes, and it's interesting too, even though they have pressure, because I mean, until it comes to fruition, everyone is going to bring up that Sports Illustrated cover of your 2017 World Series champions. So because of that, if they don't win this World Series, it'll be interesting to see how the critics respond.
Yeah. And also too, and I've mentioned this before. Mm-hmm. Last year, the Indians made me forget that the Red Sox were even in the playoffs. This year, I think the Astros are going to do the same thing.
They very well could.
Yeah, especially with Verlander, a guy like Keuchel, a guy like McCullers, a guy like McHugh. You know,
Peacock was pitching well for them.
Brad Peacock. I mean,
Charlie
I'm sure
Morton was pitching well.
Yeah, and I'm sure Brad Peacock might turn into a bullpen piece, which perfectly fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Giles had a great year as the closer. I don't think he's Craig Kimbrell, but
no, few people are.
Yeah. I like the Houston lineup better than the Boston lineup. I like their pitching staff better. I like the Red Sox closer better, but
that's pretty much the only plus side to have.
My question here is, if they lose, they being the Red Sox, does John Farrell get fired?
Probably.
It's been talked about for a while now.
Yeah, or he might step down too.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, I think, we talked about it earlier, but I think Dave Dombrowski and the Boston Brass are kicking themselves that they hold on, let me get this right, Torey Lovullo slip out of their grasp and go to Arizona, where he's probably going to win Manager of the Year.
I mean, you can trade for a manager, but the Diamondbacks aren't going to do that.
Phillies should trade for Buck Showalter. Got it.
All right. Mets trade for freaking John Mattingly or something. I don't know.
Johnny Baseball.
Well, apparently Robin Ventura is being talked about as being the Mets manager, and I'd be all right with that.
Hey, we'll see.
But that's a topic for another day.
Yes, it is.
Because the Mets aren't in the playoffs. But yeah, I think Farrell goes because it's been talked about, and at this point, it's not a matter of if. I think it's a matter of when.
Probably.
And how.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one ALDS matchup. We covered both.
We talked about both.
Sorry. NLDS. So Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and Cubs, Nationals. Let's start with Cubs, Nationals.
A lot of people are having this pegged as their series to watch, which I find kind of interesting. I guess the theory is the Nationals, can they finally get over the hump over the defending champs?
True, yeah.
I guess the theory is high power pitching in Scherzer and Strasburg against high power hitting in Bryant and Rizzo.
Yeah, it's true. Before we get here, I forgot to mention one thing about the ALDS, Houston and Boston. I find it kind of funny that they just faced each other at the end of the regular season, and they're facing each other again in the playoffs.
Eagles and Cowboys did the same thing a few years back. They played each other in Week 17 and then played each other in the first round.
And I believe the Red Sox took one of the three, so maybe that could be a factor in this series. Who knows?
That's also tough, too, because also 40-man rosters.
Yeah, it's true. I could be wrong, though. NLDS, yeah. Cubs, Nationals. I can understand why they label this as the series to watch. I personally think if the Diamondbacks do advance, then it would be Diamondbacks, Dodgers.
It's the toughest to pick.
It is. I hate
and it's. Are you picking the Nationals?
I said this in a chat earlier. I said I'll believe the Nationals winning a playoff series when I see it. But this isn't the same Cubs team as last year. So I'll go with the Nationals, especially if they do have a healthy Scherzer. I know he does have a hamstring problem, and Dusty Baker has talked about switching the rotation around a little bit. Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. But if you get a healthy Scherzer, you get Strasburg finally after one playoff appearance in 5 years. And if you get Gio Gonzalez, it's not a bad place to go. or not a bad team to pick is what I meant to say.
Well, I mean, you just said it. I'll believe the Nationals winning a playoff series when I see it.
So you're
Guess
going
what?
with the Cubs.
Right. Because I don't care that they addressed the bullpen situation.
It still hasn't been addressed. Like, okay, they got a closer, but
And Ryan Madsen, he did well for them in the 8th inning.
True, I guess.
Decently enough, at least. Because, but I mean, like, because, I mean, there are question marks. Yeah, Scherzer is dealing with a hamstring problem. Yeah, Strasburg, an injury could happen to him at any time. And let's not forget that since Bryce Harper's been back in the last couple weeks of the season, he hasn't really been back to being Bryce Harper.
Right. That's a big
That
factor.
could play a huge role. Because keep in mind, he too has been on these national teams that hasn't been able to get the job done. So, guess what? If me picking against the Nationals finally leads them to the NLCS, among other things, sure, fine, I'll eat my crow. But until I see it, guess what? I'm not picking the Washington Nationals. It wouldn't surprise me if Bryant, Rizzo, Javi Baez, Wilson Contreras, it would not surprise me to see those guys find a way. Especially against the team of the Washington Nationals with so much pressure on them. Honestly, I think if they don't get out of the NLDS, you might see Mike Rizzo get fired.
I'll agree. Yeah.
Because guess what? You can only build a team with studs for so long and not get close to the World Series. So all the pressure is on the Washington Nationals in this series.
And there's even more pressure considering, I believe, after next season, Harper's a free agent.
And Murphy's a free agent, I think, the season after that.
No, I think it's actually at the end of next year, too. So you could potentially lose Harper and Murphy.
And then it's and then you go back to being the joke of the NL East.
And then honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to all right, I would be opposed to it, but I wouldn't not expect the Braves to become the top team in that division.
We'll see, but yeah, so long story short, until they show me they can actually do something in the postseason, I'm not picking the Washington Nationals.
Okay, fair point. Other matchup. So we both picked Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks Dodgers. Well, the Diamondbacks do have a winning record against LA this year. They have proven they can beat the Dodgers. It's still tough though.
I would like to see the Dodgers go to the World Series. I wouldn't hate the Dodgers winning the World Series because it's been so long and they have guys there that deserve it. See Clayton Kershaw, and since I'm a Philly guy, see Chase Utley.
But at the same time,
I'm picking Arizona.
I wasn't going to say that, but at the same time,
just because again, like they seem to be the hot team to come out of nowhere at the right time. So,
you know what they kind of remind me of, and I hate to bring my team back into this, they kind of remind me of the Mets in 2015.
Less aces, but yeah.
I wouldn't say less because they still have two.
Well, yeah, but that Mets team had three with Syndergaard, DeGrom, and Harvey.
True.
And Steven Matz came up clutch too.
Yeah. But you still have Greinke, Ray. Godley's been in the rotation. I think he's going to get moved to the bullpen.
Oh, yeah, I think they're using him as like the 8th inning guy.
Yeah. And even if you need a guy like a Patrick Corbin to be a long reliever, like that's not a bad option either.
No.
Who would their number 3 be? I forgot. Greinke, Ray, and then there's a name I'm forgetting.
I'm pulling up their roster and depth chart now.
I should know this.
1 second. Chart. You still there? Neffy?
Yeah.
Okay, you are still there. Cool.
Well, I wasn't leaving.
Well, you froze on me for a sec.
Oh, sorry.
It'd be either Corbin or Walker.
Walker. Jesus.
Oh, wait, no. Oh, I'm sorry. I kept mixing up my guys early. Archie Bradley is the eighth inning guy, not Zach Godley.
Yeah, Godley wasn't a reliever.
My bad. I always
He
mix
was a
them up for some
starter.
reason.
He was a starter once somebody got hurt. Shelby Miller, it was, I believe.
Yeah, so it'd probably be either Taijuan Walker or Patrick Corbin as their number 3.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind Walker being that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll agree that it's not the level of like a Noah Syndergaard, but still not a bad 1-2-3 punch. And especially considering, the Dodgers 1-2-3 punch, 2 of them have struggled in the playoffs. Them being Kershaw and even Yu Darvish.
Yeah.
So you're going Diamondbacks. I wouldn't mind either team in the World Series. Damn it.
I know it's a tough choice, but
give me the Dodgers. I'm probably going to be wrong, but give me the Dodgers.
hey, I mean, there is the flip argument that the 162 games before the playoffs doesn't matter. So that could mean that Arizona struggles and the Dodgers find their hot streak from earlier.
Yeah, and plus some of these guys in the Dodgers lineup, a.k.a. guys like Turner, have been on fire, and I don't see that slowing down.
Right.
It's going to be a shame watching one of these two teams go home, but we move on to the NLCS. So you would have
Diamondbacks Cubs,
and I would have Dodgers Nationals.
Look at us flipping these matches.
So I guess we'll start with this. For
my matchup, I'm going with the Diamondbacks. I mean, again.
Okay, you know what?
We've been talking it up. Like, this team is showing me that they could be a World Series team. They're hot at the right time. They've got all the weapons in the right places. I would not hate seeing this team in the World Series. And for the record, if the Dodgers, we talked about it, if the Dodgers were in this spot, I'd probably be picking the Dodgers because I like both teams.
I'm going to change my pick.
Oh, don't go revisionist history on me.
I don't. You know what? No, I'm gonna change my pick and go with the Diamondbacks. I'm sorry. I'm just sold on them. I've been sold on them for the past month. I'm not gonna stop now.
You just did 10 minutes ago.
Shut up. It's my show, damn it. Yeah. So Diamondbacks. So for me, it'd be Diamondbacks Nationals. Oh man. That's a pretty good 1-2-3 punch for both teams. Jesus. You got Greinke, Ray, Walker versus Scherzer, Strasburg, Gio.
Mm-hmm.
That's an exciting series for me.
Oh, yeah.
And then offensively, Harper, Murphy, Rendon versus Goldschmidt. Who else?
Martinez,
Jake Lamb.
Zach Godley. I mean, Zach. No. AJ Pollock.
What? I was about to agree with you too. I was like, Zach Godley. Wait, what? Oh man. So you went with the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, I've got the Diamondbacks in the World Series now.
You know what? So do I.
Yeah.
I hate the Nationals. That's not going to change.
Yeah, and it's not even a matter of hating the Nationals. It's, they have a stacked roster. That's great. They haven't done well in the postseason.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the Washington Capitals. They come close to stiffing the Eastern Conference Finals or Stanley Cup, but they just don't get there. So until they get there, guess what? Prove me wrong.
Yeah. I'll believe it when I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the mentality that I have.
Plain and simple.
American League, You would have Twins Indians, and I would have Yankees Indians. No, wait, whoa.
No, I have Houston.
Houston, Cleveland, and I also have Houston, Cleveland. Yes. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say, we're on the same page in the AL.
Yankees, Twins, ALCS. Oh, man. By God, the Oakland A's are in the playoffs. See, this one's the toughest one.
Yeah.
Because honestly, for me, I think the World Series, especially with the pick that we have, the pick that we have, for me, I think it's easy, but this one's hard. Oh man, can I flip a coin?
Yeah.
Ugh. Tyler Harper needs to pick a team. Shout out to Triple H.
I'm gonna go Cleveland.
Okay.
Just because we've seen the motif a few times recently of team that gets to the World Series, loses, comes back and wins. See Kansas City Royals. So look, in that case,
hate you so much.
Yeah, I know. In that case, like, for the record, and I know you feel the same way. If either teams that win this series, they'll deserve it because both these teams deserve to be there 110%.
Absolutely.
So
that's the credit to everyone involved.
But I mean, I know there's going to be pressure on them. Well, there's pressure on both teams. That brings me back to an earlier point too. Speaking of Sports Illustrated covers, it was funny. Remember when the Dodgers were on that hot run and Sports Illustrated put out "Greatest Team Ever" with Justin Turner being showered in Gatorade on the cover?
Yeah.
And then when they started to slump, one of the managing editors for Sports Illustrated puts the cover up and says, "Hey, at least we put the question mark on there." I thought that was pretty good, but
that was funny.
But because of the 22-game win streak, because of them being the team with home field advantage in the AL, there's pressure on the Indians because let's keep in mind, in 2002, when the A's set that record at 20, they lost in the division series to, I believe it was the Minnesota Twins.
Which year? I'm sorry.
2002, the Moneyball year.
Was it the Twins?
I think so, because I think in the movie it shows the Twins celebrating.
Yeah, it might have been the Twins, yeah.
I'll look that up too, but
I'll look it up, yeah, just to be sure, because I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah, but the point being that, yeah, they did well, and they could be the hot team, but they could also kind of phase out once postseason comes.
Absolutely.
It's happened. I mean, look at the Mariners that won 116 games.
Yeah, it brings me back to the point of, like, you can have the best record, you can have all the stars in the world, but if you can't win a playoff game or playoff series, how good are you really?
Exactly.
So it'd be interesting to see. So you pick Cleveland.
Yes.
All right. In this case, I'll be different, and I'll go Houston.
Hey, I don't blame you.
Because, hey, Diamondbacks Astros World Series still has a lot of appeal.
Oh, yeah. Diamondbacks versus either of those teams has a lot of appeal. 100%.
I honestly think there's so many potential World Series matchups this year that have a huge appeal, at least to me. Like, even if the Yankees made it and faced, a team like the Diamondbacks, hey, rematch of 2001. If the Red Sox faced I know a lot of people, even though both curses are now broken, would have liked to see a Red Sox-Cubs World Series. That still has some kind of an appeal.
True.
So, yeah, I'll go Houston. So, for me, it's Houston, Arizona. For you, it's Cleveland, Arizona. Oh, man.
Why do we make this so tough on ourselves?
Yeah, I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me if, I mean, I mean, I guess I gotta believe that the hype is real with Arizona, right? I've been talking them up so much.
Oh man.
I know that's a ballsy pick considering they still have a wild card game to play.
True, yeah.
But
Oh my! I swear to God, if the Rockies somehow win that wild card game,
yeah.
I'm just gonna kill myself.
Hold on one second.
Yeah,
Good night. So,
if the Rockies win that game, I'll just die.
Rocktober, baby.
Damn it. I'll be sure to watch that game and not die.
Yeah, why not? Arizona Diamondbacks World Series champs. Dare to be different. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
I'll go Houston.
I wouldn't hate it.
This reminds me of 2015, and honestly, I mean, the Mets had that dominant run. They won the NLDS. They swept the Cubs in the NLCS, and then they lost the World Series. So this could potentially be a repeat of that, but who knows at this point? I'd be fine with either of them winning, but I'm going to go with Houston. Good for the city, good for baseball, good for all those players, and good for that fan base.
If it's a Houston Arizona World Series or a Cleveland Arizona World Series, either way, baseball wins.
Absolutely. And I also mentioned Houston's fan base. Do you know how many 100 lost seasons they had to go through?
A lot.
That is rough. So let's give them something.
Yeah.
And the difference between them and Cleveland is even though Cleveland hasn't won since the 40s, the Astros have never won a World Series.
Yeah.
So this would be even better for them. But
it'd be one less number on that trivia question.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's the playoffs. We gave our award.
Let's see how wrong we are.
The one question from MLB Network that was asked, looking at all these teams, who do you think is going to leave the postseason with the most home runs? Who do you think? Actually, I'll rephrase this. We've seen how Bumgarner has performed in the postseason. We saw that run a couple years ago with Murphy, where he hit all those home runs and was pretty much unstoppable. Who do you think is going to have that type of a postseason where they're just fully dominant, no stopping them, just MVP, no doubt?
I know I talked up JD Martinez a good pick, but sticking with the Arizona Diamondbacks, yeah, let's give Goldie some love because Paul Goldschmidt is the everyman first baseman, power bat, makes fantastic plays in the field, is the leader in that clubhouse by and large. It wouldn't surprise me if he just goes off. I know that's kind of a safe answer because he's one of the pillars of that team, but when they were in the postseason last, he didn't really do that much because the team kind of lost out early. So it wouldn't surprise me if Goldie gets in there and he goes, all right, this is my time to shine. I'm going to put my team on my back and we're going to march. So I wouldn't be surprised if Paul Goldschmidt does that for me.
I feel like this guy has been one of the more forgotten guys this year because he had a down year. But I'm going to go with Carlos Correa.
That's fair. He lost time with injury, too.
Yeah, he lost some time with injury. He struggled with the bat a little bit. He hit over 20 home runs, but it just wasn't a great year for him. And what better way to break out than a great performance in the playoffs where it matters most?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anything else?
Did you have any other questions?
Yeah, I asked the one earlier and the one now. I think that was it. Yeah. I think I only had two.
We've been talking for a while.
Yeah, we have. It's almost midnight. Thank you for the one random viewer that showed up to watch us for a while. Thank you. We salute you. But yeah, thank you, Tyler, once again.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you all for subscribing, for liking this video, disliking this video, sharing this video.
Thank you for disliking this video.
Thank you for it's a reaction. I'm like WWE. We're living in the reaction business. Anyway, I'm Matt from Unlimited. You have watched the Unlimited podcast.